History of Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year is the most important holiday in China. Chinese New Year occurs between the end of January and the end of February every year. Tied to the Chinese lunar calendar, the holiday was traditionally a time to honor household and heavenly gods as well as ancestors. It was also a time to bring family together for feasting. With the popular adoption of the Western calendar in 1912, the Chinese joined in celebrating January 1st as New Year's Day. China, however, continues to celebrate Chinese New Year with the traditional greeting, Kung Hai Fat Choi, Lunar New Year. The ancient Chinese lunar calendar, on which Chinese New Year is based, functioned as a religious, dynastic and social guide. Records indicate that the calendar existed as early as 14th century BC, when the Shang dynasty was in power. The calendar's structure was reset according to which emperor held power and varied from one region to another. The Chinese calendar was a complex timepiece. Its parameters were set according to the lunar phases as well as the solar solstices and equinoxes. Chinese New Year typically begins with the new moon that occurs between the end of January and the end of February, and it lasts about 15 days, until the full moon arrives with the Festival of Lanterns. Chinese New Year animals. The Chinese calendar also included the Chinese zodiac, the cycle of 12 stations or signs along the apparent path of the sun through the cosmos. Each new year was marked by the characteristics of one of the 12 zodiac animals: the rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, snake, horse, sheep, monkey, rooster, dog and pig. Chinese New Year traditions. The traditional Chinese New Year was the most important festival on the calendar. The entire attention of the household was fixed on the celebration. During this time, business life came nearly to a stop. Home and family were the principal focuses. In preparation for the holiday, houses were thoroughly cleaned to rid them of huiki, or inauspicious breaths, which might have collected during the old year. Cleaning was also meant to appease the gods who would be coming down from heaven to make inspections. Ritual sacrifices of food and paper icons were offered to gods and ancestors. Elders gave out money to children. In fact, many of the rites carried out during this period were meant to bring good luck to the household and long life to the family, particularly to the parents. Chinese New Year food. Most important was the feasting. On New Year's Eve, the extended family would join around the table for a meal that included as the last course a fish that was symbolic of abundance and therefore not meant to be eaten.
Today, we will explore the legend of the origin of the very first celebration of the New Year in ancient China, the legend of the mythical beast, known as Nyan. The legend of the origins of the Chinese New Year started a long time ago. Even today, we're still unsure on the exact date when it started. It was back in a time where humans still lived in fear, hiding from the unknown. According to the legend, once a year, usually around winter, a monstrous creature would come down from its lair in the high misty mountains and go straight to the neighboring villages, devouring everything on its way. Cattle, men, women, and even children. The beast ate everything that stood in its path. It would arrive during nighttime, and it's only at dawn, when he was full and satisfied, that he would go back in the mountains and stay there until next year. That creature was known as Nyanshu, which can be roughly translated in English to the year beast. However, most people call it Nyan. Nyan was a legendary massive creature larger than houses and stronger than 100 men. It had the body of a bull and the head of a lion, and was so powerful that nothing could withstand its rampage. And thus, years passed and the villagers still lived in fear and terror. They dreaded that moment where the beast would come down from the mountains again to lay pain and destruction all over their lands. But soon, they started to come up with ideas to try to keep the Nyan at bay and redirect its attention to reduce the damage caused by the creature. The villagers started making a lot of food in the eve of the cursed day where the beast would come down from the mountains. They put the plates of food in front of their house doors, and hoped that by doing so, the monster would eat the food instead of the children and the animals in the village. They also realized something very important over time. The Nyan feared three things: the color red, fire, and loud noises. With that in mind, the villagers put in place a strategy to counter the beast and make it run back in the mountains. They prepared red lanterns and hung them all over in the villages. They also painted their doors bright red and tied red scrolls to the doors and windows. Once the preparations were done, the villagers waited the beast. At night, when Neon made its way down the mountains, the villagers lit up great fires and firecrackers to make as much noise as possible. They also banged plates and bowls together to add up to the noise. When the creature arrived near the city, it saw the bright red colors left and right, and that combined with the fire and the loud noises, confused and scared the mighty beast. When it could not take it anymore, Neon ran away and went back to the mountains. The legend says that later on, the great ancient Taoist monk Hongchen Laozi captured the mythical beast and made it its own mount, and from that moment and on forward, the villagers kept that tradition every year and kept making large quantities of food, putting lanterns and scrolls around the city, and setting off firecrackers. Today, this tradition is still present, and every new year, we can see lanterns, firecrackers, and bright red color paper cuts with popular themes of good fortune or happiness on them. The color red is still the predominant color used in the New Year celebrations, because it was considered as an emblem of joy and symbolizes many virtues. The neon is also at the origin of the very famous lion dance that is performed every New Year as well. You have probably witnessed those dances where people would get under a costume that looked like the neon and would perform the lion dance. It is said that this dance originated even before the Tang dynasty in ancient China, and that it was based on a playful lion's dance in heaven.